在工作上，我们都希望能够融入，跟大家合作愉快。所以当我们能够 make people smile， 都是能够被欣赏或者是被 appreciated。所以有很多人会问我们 How do I be funny in English? Hello， 欢迎来到商业英语 Career Plus 的 Podcast。在这边，我们利用多年国际职场与教学经验，带给大家最真实与贴切的职场英语知识。Hi, I'm Sherry, founder of Executive Plus. As a language trainer and certified coach, I've trained hundreds of managers from Fortune 500 companies such as Dior, Google, and Deloitte & Touche.
And I'm Nick, Director of Communication Strategy at Presentality. I've helped startups raise millions of US dollars in funding and trained executives of publicly listed companies to present on the global stage. Hey everyone, welcome to episode 13. How do I be funny in English? Now, before anyone asks, this is not a lesson on how to be a stand-up comedian, and we're not going to teach you how to tell jokes, especially the dirty ones, although that could be a fun episode. What we want to share with you today is how to use humor and the types of humor that work well to build connections and to become one of the guys in your office.
所以我在国外非常久的时间，从念书一直到工作，所以我常常要进去要融入很多新的环境 different teams or different companies， 所以我花了很久的时间一直在 trial and errors 或者是一直观察。那我发现说其实不管文化的差异不同或者语言的不同，其实都有一个蛮安全的方式可以让你马上融入。那这个我们等一下就会提。I want to ask you a question first, Nick. Is that, do you think there is a difference between the humor in Western culture and the humor here in Taiwan?
Of course. For Taiwanese, you guys love your cold jokes. Or a lot of plays on words, right? Because a lot of Chinese words sound similar. Maybe it's just a tone difference or a character difference.
什么谐音啊，冷笑话。
So a lot of jokes are just kind of based around that kind of play. For, not even Westerners, it's like American humor and British humor tends to be a bit different. British humor is very dry, right? So if you watch Monty Python or any of the talk shows, their humor is very witty, it's very dry. American humor tends to be, just dunked, covered, and fried in sarcasm.
It's very explicit.
Yeah, it's very explicit. Sarcasm is a big staple of American humor. Now, what's interesting to me is a lot of Taiwanese have asked me, it's like, how do I become sarcastic? And this one's a bit difficult because back to that cultural question is, last episode we talked about Taiwanese are non-confrontational. But I feel when on certain topics, Taiwanese are far more direct. So like weight. Taiwanese will be like, oh man, you've gained weight, or oh, you're looking fat. Like they'll just say that to you as though it's normal conversation, right? If you are not super close to them, that becomes really weird. If it's your close friends, like one of my friends, the best way that they phrased it was, oh, you're looking very wealthy recently, right? Like they can have fun with it, but this is a close friend. But when you're not close to that person, can become a bit offensive. And sarcasm has that same line. When you're not really close to someone or they're not a good friend, sarcasm can really quickly become offensive to someone else. So sarcasm is a type of humor that can be interesting, but you need to be a bit careful about.
所以我发现这种讽刺，我们刚刚讲到 sarcasm, right? 就是讽刺，其实还蛮小心的，因为如果你是跟你 close friend, 你的非常要好的朋友，大家可能都会了解。但是如果这个时候你在工作的环境，这个时候你要服务客户，或者是你跟客人讲话，或者是跟你的下属或上司讲话，这个 sarcasm 我觉得就不是那么的安全 right? In a working environment. Yeah.
So what kind of humor do you think would be more appropriate for people to pick up and really start to use?
Well, I think definitely the opposite of sarcasm. 绝对是刚刚我们所讲 sarcasm 的相反，也就叫做 self self-deprecating humor. 那中文来讲就是自嘲 self-deprecating humor.
Right. So what self-deprecating humor is you're actually aiming the sarcasm or the comment at yourself. Whereas traditionally, a lot of sarcasm is aimed at other people or a situation outside of yourself, right?
Yeah, you definitely poke fun of yourself.你是主角，你是这个笑话的主角。那我觉得，但是当然 we need to have a really balance, right? We have a balance when you're making a self-deprecating humor, because if it's overboard, 如果太过多、过度的自嘲自己，当然你就会变得有点好像 lack of confidence. Right. Yeah.
So if you're just getting down on yourself too much, you don't want to sound whiny like, oh, my life is so hard and I'm so fat and I'm not pretty enough. This kind of thing it sounds like whining. But self-deprecating humor can be like just choose moments. I'll give you an example. I joke about my weight sometimes that coming to Taiwan because of all the delicious fried food and teas, etc., I've gained weight. So in our office, we always have snacks, chips, and certain people in our office are trying to lose weight, and they're like, oh, I don't know if I should have this last cookie or not. And for me, I'll just look at them and rub my stomach and go like, this is not a decision I have to think about, and then just grab the cookie, right?
Yeah.
So it's just kind of like aiming that joke at my own expense.
Yeah. So definitely, do it in a right way. So that you don't sound like you're self-loathing or just hating yourself.
Yeah, like, oh my God, I'm so fat, I eat this cookie. Just be more like, nope, I think I have room for one more.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, and also I think this is a really good tip is that when you are a manager, 如果你是主管的话，你有别的 team 要 manage, 那你可能是新上任的主管. You're a new leader. You have to you need your team to be on your side, right?
Right.
I think self-deprecating humor could be very effective.
Yeah, it can be a way to make them feel like you're just another person, right? A lot of times when people, talk to a boss, the boss feels like, oh, I have to show them, how great I am and that they can become great. And it can become a bit exhausting and also feel like that person's really far away from you.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and by using that self-deprecating humor where they can just sort of show that it's like, okay, I have the same sort of insecurities or, I'm just a guy who can laugh at myself, it really kind of helps even out that playing field feeling.
Yeah, so it's also very disarming. I think as soon as you have a boss, they're able to joke about himself or herself, it's always, immediately you kind of feel like, oh, okay, all right. You kind of feel that connection.
Yeah, and it's a way that you can just have fun with it. Like, you come into the office and say you got a bad haircut. Some people may just try and hide it or make the feeling like if you say anything about my haircut, then you're working overtime this weekend. Yeah. But if you're willing to have a joke about it, right, people will just go like, okay, he can laugh at himself. It's nothing to do with your performance or anything or capability at work, but it lets you feel as though, all right, this is just another person.
So I think we can find some examples that to show what the difference between the sarcasm and self-deprecating humor, right?
Yeah, there's a lot of examples out there. If there's anyone who, say, our generation, which we're dating ourselves a bit here, grew up with the TV show Friends. And if you watched Friends, then you know the character Chandler. And Chandler is actually the king of sarcasm and self-deprecating humor. Through almost every episode, you can see him balancing the both. But that line we talked about before, if you'll notice, Chandler's sarcasm is related to the way he talks to his friends, right? The main character cast, he talks to them in a very sarcastic, he makes fun of them, he jokes about what they do. But when it comes to his work, when it comes to talking to people that he's not as close with, he uses that self-deprecating humor a lot to build a connection. He doesn't direct sarcasm at them. He usually talks about himself. So there's one episode where for New Year's, all of the friends give up something they're supposed to do. And for Chandler, it's giving up being sarcastic and making fun of his friends. And so there's a great clip where he just gives up and then he goes after everyone. Yeah. And you can really see sarcasm at work.
Phoebes, flying a jet? Better make it a spaceship so you can get back to your home planet. And Ross, phone call for you today. Tom Jones, he wants his pants back. And Hornswoggle, what are you, dating a character from Fraggle Rock?
Now, in another clip, you actually see him use the self-deprecating humor. And in that clip, he's talking to the current boyfriend of Phoebe. And the boyfriend is a cop, like a manly man, true Boston cop that you see on like Law and Order. And for everyone who knows Chandler, he's kind of effeminate. He's a little bit girly and not that like manly man. And so in that case, when he's talking, we have a phrase in English like, I want to talk to you man to man, right? Like we're on the same level. We're both, dudes. But he actually uses the phrase like, I thought that we could talk man to, me.
Gary, I am here to report a crime.
Yeah?
It is a crime that you and I don't spend more time together.
What's up?
Well, I heard that you were thinking about asking Phoebe to move in with you, and I thought maybe we should have a talk, man to, me.
Right? And that's that self-deprecating humor at work where he's building that connection and he's aiming the humor at himself.
So I really hope you guys enjoyed our episode today. Our episode today is definitely something a little bit different, but I think it's very close to our hearts, and really hope you guys enjoyed, and stay tuned next time. Bye. 如果你喜欢我们的 podcast， 欢迎来追踪我们的主管英文 Executive Plus 的 Facebook。那也可以写信到我们的信箱 yourcareerplus@gmail.com。